A bunch of Marines started coming to me. I was able to find them within 36 hours. They saw a craft. So this is not something lights in the sky. They actually saw the body, the shape of the craft, and you see that in the low light photo.
Owing to the presence of a mysterious spacecraft that was depicted in the report's photo of an odd, unidentified substance discovered on a spacecraft carrying internationals, here are secret NASA images of extraterrestrial life that you must see before they are permanently deleted. When we realize, it becomes a day of remorse. That the skeptics will never accept in its entirety the existence of alien species, despite the overwhelming evidence. They would rather describe you as an irrational fan of UFOs. Let's see if they can ignore the evidence, shall we? That is shown in the photos that have been leaked that you will find in this video. Let's do it before the authorities keep these items out of the public eye by getting rid of them, of evidence. Let's get started with this picture that was taken when a screen grab of this scene was taken from a video. A Marine officer shot this video, the 20th of April, 2021. Back then, back on his military base, this Marine officer in California's 29 Palms.
What's interesting about this photo is that frame prior to this shot and the frame after this shot does not show this object.
Despite the fact that we can only see certain aspects of the enigmatic aircraft depicted in the image, it turns out that not only the Marine officer who observed this enigmatic aircraft as it took to the skies, some of the officers were able to provide supporting evidence that they actually saw the plane. In fact, they were able to provide us with additional details. Concerning the aircraft, they informed us of the dark hue that it seemed to have in its body. It appeared that this intense encounter would not last, however, for too long.
People believe that it's evidence that this object can cloak and become invisible. Some people believe that it's able to move incredibly quickly. Some people believe that it's interdimensional.
As these officials expressed that the airplane only spent about 10 minutes above them before vanishing suddenly and without a trace. After this baffling encounter, the officers were not going to be deceived by anyone who attempted to claim that they only saw flares in what they saw. Having said that, when the aircraft vanished, they never were able to verify precisely what they had just seen. It turned out that not only were these soldiers the only ones that were invested in this enigmatic meeting that took place on the military base in California. The Pentagon also got involved in the search for answers, as they decided that an investigation was the best course of action, which would precisely determine what they observed outside. That fateful night in 2021, April 20th, as though this picture of the bizarre lights that it might be a mysterious aircraft was too boring. Let's take a look at this photo gallery that was captured by a cosmonaut from Russia. Ivan Wagner is his name. These pictures were taken by him while he was aboard the space station just a short while ago, in August 2020. The images are contained in these fascinating photos, out of 5 unknown aerial objects that ripped through space, while keeping the same distance apart from one another, like they were arranged in a strange way. They also demonstrated additional organization by traveling in a single direction while soaring just above the horizon of the Earth, wishing to acquire some responses from the public.
Shown you UFOs sighted near volcanoes, as there's a belief among ufologists that alien craft are attracted to volcanoes and other high-energy sites for the purpose of refueling.
Even chose to upload the pictures, tweeted by these 5 aircraft, also referred to as Elon Musk's X. Perhaps one of the many inquiring minds present could actually contribute in some way regarding what might be in those pictures. Ivan will undoubtedly receive a response, even though it would end up being a response that would catch him off guard. See, the images became so popular that they were ultimately retrieved by Roscosmos, the Russian space agency. They were so captivated by the images that they even cared to inquire about Ivan had been able to capture in some way while he was aboard the space station. They might be able to actually get to the bottom one day of the enigma surrounding exactly what was captured by the baffling cosmonaut, as the Russians attempt to descend of the enigmatic identity of one of their cosmonauts, succeeded in capturing on camera while he was aboard the space station. Additionally, those at the Pentagon were looking at some of the bizarre occurrences that were taking place far from where I grew up. For those who are unaware, the United States of America is not the only country that interacts with beings from other galaxies. It appears that traveling to Japan, you would discover that they have also experienced with extraterrestrial beings. In point of fact, Japan appears to have experienced numerous with extraterrestrial life that reportedly the Japanese government has instructed all of their pilots to report immediately any encounters with unknown aerial objects straight to them. Japan, on the other hand, tries to ensure that they are ready to face any challenges with these beings from other stars by ensuring that enrollees with the Japanese Forces of Self-Defense have received instruction on what to do if they see a UFO so much that they have their own set of rules. In relation to this matter, 6 of these encounters have been reported so far, with UFO sightings that have been documented to the government of Japan. Video recordings are included on one of these accounts, of 10 white spheres that appear to be floating in the air of Osaka, Japan.
I looked at the way the light is hitting this thing, and I compared it to the light hitting the trees down here. Look at the shadow angles, they're all the same. So this is the shadow angle.
Even though the government of Japan hasn't said anything in public regarding the baffling sightings of UFOs that could be seen in the sky, the entire globe is watching, wishing they could reach the bottom of the enigmatic figures that were flying through Japan's skies. Next, we look at the pictures that are National Geographic's property. Because it comes from such a trustworthy source, people had no choice but to take the pictures that Sergio Loaiza was able to capture a long time ago on September 4th, 1971. The photos appear to have been taken during an aerial look at a stunning lake. Photos suggested that everything was in order, until they reached Loaiza's development lab once more. At this point, he finally noticed of an oddly metal figure that was observed in the air during the survey that he just carried out. Loaiza believed to be an aircraft, and anyone who saw the pictures of this enormous aircraft might have been surprised by the aircraft, as determined to measure approximately 160 feet in diameter. Intrigued by the images he had, Loaiza presented them to his superiors at National Geographic. Despite the compelling evidence provided by the photos, Loaiza must have felt disheartened when his superiors dismissed the findings, and even prohibited him and his colleagues from sharing any details about the enigmatic images they had taken during their lake survey. National Geographic's efforts to suppress the intriguing photos were ultimately unsuccessful, as the images of the mysterious metallic craft were leaked to the public before the decade ended and by the turn of the century. Once the images were public, it was clear that they depicted an unidentified flying object. By 2021, any doubts about the photo's existence and the authenticity of its contents were resolved, as analyses confirmed that the UFO was not a lens scratch or dust, but a genuine anomaly. Although it remains uncertain whether the object is of extraterrestrial origin, the evidence suggests it is not a hoax.
Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin.
What do you think? Could this really be a spaceship from outer space? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Shifting focus from the controversial photo that National Geographic struggled to release, let's look at a piece of footage that appears to have come from the government's classified archives. Many of us are familiar with the notion that the government has been hiding UFO evidence for years, if not decades. It seems they may have managed to keep this particular evidence under wraps. On January 15, 2023, new evidence suggesting the potential existence of extraterrestrials emerged. This evidence was captured during the surveillance of an MQ-9 Reaper drone. During this operation, military personnel managed to record an unidentified flying object moving at incomprehensible speeds, likely because the speeds were beyond those achieved by human technology. As the object sped through the camera's field of view, it left behind an atmospheric wake. The surreal event ended when the object vanished from sight. While we await the return of this rapid craft, let's turn to one of the most stunning images believed to depict an alien. This captivating photo was taken in 2004 by a retired Royal Air Force officer vacationing in Sri Lanka. The image shows a brightly colored, giant donut-shaped object in the sky. After capturing the photo, the officer submitted it to his superiors at the Royal Air Force Base in England. The image was then classified and later transferred to the Ministry of Defense. Fortunately, it has since been declassified and is now available for public viewing.
Known for working at a classified base known as S4 out in the Nevada desert near Area 51. And there, we reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
Despite being publicly accessible, the photo still remains shrouded in mystery. In fact, the enigma extends to the photographer himself, as any information about him and the circumstances of the photo's capture has vanished without a trace. It's hard to believe that such records could disappear without reason, leading to speculation about the true nature of the image. Next, we turn our attention to Boyd Bushman and his claims about extraterrestrial encounters before his passing. Bushman, who asserted he was a Lockheed engineer working near Area 51, shared his experiences in a video with independent aerospace engineer Mark Q. Patterson. They discussed their observations in the Area 51 region, where Bushman claimed to have met aliens from a planet called Quintumnia, some of whom were allegedly living and working as employees at Area 51. The video stirred significant interest, particularly among those inclined to believe in extraterrestrial life. However, skeptics argue that Bushman's account might merely be the ramblings of an elderly man seeking to make a dramatic exit. What's your take? Should Bushman's story be viewed skeptically? Or could it be a genuine revelation about extraterrestrial beings living among us? Share your thoughts in the comments section. By focusing on Tim and Tracy of the UFO Seekers,
It appears that when they went hiking on the mountain of Tikaboo Peak, due to its proximity to Area 51, they took action. At the very least, they would be able to photograph the notorious property. They were fortunate to have access to a special telescope that may provide them with the most precise perspectives on people, vehicles, and buildings that could be found within this classified building. It's strange that the pictures seem to demonstrate the movement of these buildings.
Story of Area 51. It exploded around the world. The reason you know about Area 51 is because Bob Lazar and George Knapp on the news, 1989, made it a household name. That's the reason.
The fact that these things exist is certain, are truly extraordinary. Steve Barron, a resident of Nevada in 2019, is another example. Succeeded in capturing both the image and the recording of an odd flying object in the sky. Over the people who live in Nevada, strange flying objects appear to be in the air, over a mountain range close to his Nevada residence, despite the fact that Barron lacked much information based on what he had just witnessed and noted. This appeared to be a massive object, despite its considerable distance. Additionally, it appeared to be quite bright, as it shone brightly over Nevada's far-off mountain ranges. Additionally, it seemed to move in an odd pattern that had never been seen before. Was unlike anything else. It ripped through the sky. Individuals who discovered the footage of this bizarre object appear to believe it was just a drone. On that one, the verdict is still out. However, we are aware that this is one of the most fascinating footage of alien life that can be found out there. How about we additionally check the pictures out that a commercial satellite captured?
Rod is an alien who allegedly worked at Area 51 over a period of years, and it was J-Rod's mission.
It would appear that these are images of a secret combat aircraft of the next generation that took place on the runway of the infamous Area 51. Although the image was kept secret, if not for individuals like the War Zone's Tyler Rogue, if he hadn't been looking at the pictures that came from the Planet Laboratory satellite, these pictures would never have come to our attention. It's possible that he never saw them. If Nevada's usual cautious U.S. Air Force, the testing facility, had not failed, this image with a baffling shadow vanished somehow. There are those who think this shadow was a tent that was concealing what appeared to an unidentified type of fighter aircraft. Do you believe they kept it from us? Because it might have come from another planet. Who can say? Perhaps what we saw is what we do know. At the entrance to Area 51, several years ago this took place. When satellite images were made available online, these pictures looked like the entrance to Area 51. This brings to mind a time when an individual discovered a road that led into the notorious center. What makes this image interesting is that a 1998 image appears when is compared to the same picture that we are discussing today.
The photograph in question here was captured at a focal length of about 150 millimeters, focal ratio f5.6.
We would discover that the older image does not contain it. This raises the question of why so many roads have been constructed. Why did they take you to a parking lot that appeared to be in areas with no exits? Strangely, it appears to ascend to this barren mountain where nothing appears to exist. Some believe this bizarre parking lot and the enigmatic roads that lead there were constructed because a secret tunnel existed that has been carved into the nearby mountain. Some even claim to have been led into a secret facility embedded in the mountain. What might be happening there? As bizarre as this hidden mountain facility is, when you contrast the two, might be nothing to a new finding that was made recently, among other places, at the International Space Station. In October of 2023, it appears that a leak was discovered. This was discovered in the backup radiator of the station. Oleg Kono, concerned about this leak, one of the Russian cosmonauts who was stationed on the space station, was compelled to don his spacesuit. At the time, he could only literally do so in that way.
out into the universe.
I've seen the photo ever since I was a young kid, and so I know if it was hoax, it would have to have been done with older technology.
So that he could locate the leak's origin and perhaps fix it. In any case, he would soon be at the site of an intriguing discovery. When you get to the radiator panel, he discovered that the panel had been punctured with a few holes. Following his presentation of his findings, Oleg gathered the spilled liquids, utilizing a sectioning tool as he attempted to resolve the issue. In the midst of this, suddenly, he saw a strange droplet. Upon examination, this appeared to be a coolant that might have reached his safety tether. After disclosing this to his superiors once more,
so they basically said, what's going on? What is this? And I was worried about the reporting process. We dug into it for a number of years. Luckily, they shot up lumen flares, so you can see the difference of what a lumen flare is. And most flares, they last within 1 minute to 3 minutes max. This object, or I'll say craft.
he was told right away to go back to the space station. Contrary to the reports, it would appear that we haven't figured it out, which substance it was, and how it initially got there. It's hoped that no aliens got in their way. Inside the spacecraft, owing to the presence of a mysterious spacecraft that was depicted in a picture, to the report of an odd, unidentified substance discovered aboard a global spacecraft, here are secret NASA images of extraterrestrial life that you must see before they are permanently deleted.